fun. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna get to know about the fighters a little bit more. And this is the very first Pro Am event. You guys really excited about that, man? Norfolk, Virginia, Pro event. Hell yeah! I'm working on this. Everybody's in? All right, good evening, everybody. This is the SFL32 press conference. Before the fight, I want to just let you guys know SFL32 will be tomorrow, Saturday, January 27th, the Ted Constant Center. Cut. Can we have her turn that off, please? Thank you. I hate to say that. I hate to make her cry. Okay. All right. So here we go again. Good evening, guys. SFL32 press conference at the Ted Constant Center tomorrow will be held January 27th. Tickets can be purchased at YNOTS. That's YNOTTix.com. You can purchase them at the Ted Constant's box office, or you can get them here tonight at the gala for people who are coming and streaming. Doors open at 5:30 for the Fan Expo. You can bring children friendly, family friendly from 5:30 to 6. The prelims begin at 6 p.m. and with the opening ceremony at 7 p.m. Also, if you want to stream live, the event, you can go to Fight TV, FITE.tv, FITE.tv. That's where you can see it at. Who's got the first question? All right, so some of the fans you guys wanted to know about the fighters. We're going to start with the main event of tonight, and that is Mitch Smash and Frog Aguiar. And his opponent will be Brandon Pennington for the 175 pounds. So, Brandon, people have been wanting to know since this fight started. You called out the Smashing Frog to fight him as soon as you heard about this fight. Kind of help us understand why now, why this fight, and why at this point in your career.
Yeah, so, I've, explained it a few times, and it pretty much, like, what a lot of people don't know is, I pretty much grew up fighting on the Spartacus show, back when Jimmy was just strictly an amateur show, and then I went pro back in 2014. I walk around pretty heavy, and, I heard Mitch was going pro. I thought it was a viable fight. You got two former SFL champions. It's marketable. It's good for the people. I think it's going to be, fireworks. I think people are going to like it. I hope everybody likes it, and I'm glad to be here. I really am. He's a reputable opponent, and, plan to deliver tomorrow night.
They also want to know what makes you confident in this fight. Like, really, what makes you confident coming into this fight?
Right, well, just like any fight, I don't train for any particular fighter, I just train to be the best me that I can be. Just like in any aspect of my life, when I'm doing anything that I'm doing, I'm being the best me at that thing that I'm doing at that point in time. So for me, it's not about who I'm fighting, I feel like I could fight anybody, at any time, it really doesn't matter. The main thing is that I train, I do the things that make me confident, I don't really need anything else.
And some people want to know, why do you call yourself the janitor? Where did that come from?
So, when I first started fighting, I was 16 years old, and I couldn't afford training. We were, kind of impoverished at the time, and I knew a guy, going to church, and his dad was a gym owner, and I really wanted to fight. So, I asked, I was like, hey man, really interested in training, and I couldn't afford it, and he just was. I was like, if I'm able to train at your gym, could I exchange training for cleaning, and we did it that way, and it was a 3 or 4 time a week thing. And then the night of my first fight, actually, right after I knocked the guy out, cold, was a couple fights later. I was actually inside the cage cleaning, and they were like, man, he cleaned up in the cage earlier, now he's literally cleaning the cage. So, and then the janitor name just stuck from there.
All right. Well, hope we'll see some mops tomorrow. All right. Your opponent is Mitch.
Spice it up, Dirk.
So his opponent is Mitch Smash and Frog Aguiar. Mitch, a lot of people know you from your social media following. You have an impressive 11-1 amateur fight. This is your pro debut. What we want to know is, what is the recent transition from the military into civilian lifestyle? Because this was important for you to do the transition from the military to civilian, plus going pro. Is that significant with that?
Yeah, I spent 10 years in the military and just got out 3 weeks ago. You know, and I had made the decision to get out and fight professionally, you know, full time, and just because it's a passion of mine, and you know, I was kind of at the point in my career where I needed to kind of either stay in and do, you know, the full 20 and retire, or pursue something else. And you know, I had done what I had done in the military, and you know, I was happy and proud about what I did, and you know, just ready for a new chapter. And that's just what it boiled down to. And the fight game is a young man's game, I feel, except for Sergeant Major. Yeah. But you know, if I wanted to make my run at the UFC, then you know, I feel like the sooner would be better. You know, I'm 28 years old now, so if I was to do another enlistment, that would put me, you know, in my 30s, starting that run, and I, you know, just made the decision to kind of get it going now. So I wanted to fight pro sooner, but I wasn't allowed to because of my job in the military. And you know, now that I'm out and a civilian, I can go pro now. So, and I'm happy to make my pro debut with Spartica. I've done the majority of my amateur fights with Spartica, and I think it's a great platform. It's a great venue. You know, all the supporters are great, and all the volunteer staff that work, you know, put so much effort into making such a great platform for us fighters, and we're truly lucky. And so I wouldn't want to make my pro debut with anyone else.
Now, with that being your pro debut, where are you going to be training? Are you still going to be training where you've been training during your amateur, or are you going to switch gyms? Or are you going to look to be doing more?
Yeah, I'm signing with Black House MMA, and after this fight, I'm signing a 3-fight deal with Legacy Fighting Alliance. So I'll be doing my camps for those fights in Los Angeles at Black House.
And we see you coming in here, look depleted. How much do you cut weight when you cut weight? Because when I see you, it's like you're anemic, or
yeah, I look like two different people. I cut a lot of weight, you know, and I was thinking about it during this cut. You know, I really want more weight classes. You know, I think that cutting weight is you know, it's a necessary thing. You have to do it because everyone else is doing it essentially. But the reason there are weight classes is so that you're fighting someone your size, you know. And I would like to see in the future, like, rehydration or hydration tests along with weight classes, and more weight classes would be nice, you know. Like, honestly, like, Brandon and I shouldn't even be fighting because I'm bigger than him, you know, and that's like not even a jab at him. Like, I'm bigger than him, you know. I started this camp at 210, you know, walking around, and you know, and I'm definitely not fat, and it's just, so it's a lot of weight for me to cut to make 170. But then at 185, you know, those guys are coming down and also cutting weight from, you know, 215, whatever, and a lot of those guys are taller, so constantly having to deal with that, you know. So it would just be nice to have more weight classes. You know, in the bigger weight classes, they jump, you know, exponentially, and the smaller ones, you know, they're every 10 pounds. So I don't know.
Final question for the two-main event. Brandon Pennington, to you is, where do you see this fight going? And what was one of your biggest strategies in preparing for this fight after seeing most of the wins coming from on the ground? And just kind of tell me what's going on through your mind coming into this fight. Not what you've been training, but specifically for this fight.
Well, I mean, I'm well-rounded everywhere. You know, I can fight anywhere and everywhere this fight goes, and everywhere this fight goes, I will win. And I will dominate, and he is going to get stopped in round 2 tomorrow. Mark my words. Promise you. That is that. I say nothing more.
Okay, last
That's
question.
your final answer. Would you like to phone a friend?
Yeah, I can guarantee it too.
There we are. So for Mitch, last thing we see you fight, and when you're in a cage, you're happy-go-lucky. Are you always like this, or is there a switch that you do? Because your social media is fun and, you know, go-lucky, but when you're in a cage, you kind of change it up. How are you outside of the cage, and how is that going to play into this fight for your pro debut?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like a very happy-go-lucky person by nature, and you know, I'm also very on the other side of that coin. I'm also very aggressive and violent, and you know, that's how I've made my living, is you know, kind of being a violent individual, and I've always loved fighting. You know, I've done it for free, just as a hobby, and you know, I was a bar fighter way before I was a cage fighter. It's not that I'm a bully, but I'm very protective. I grew up that way, and you know, I've been that way for the last 10 years as well. And I don't know. I mean, he says he's going to dominate me in any way. Well, okay, that's fine. You can say whatever you like, but. And you know, and I don't really blame him for thinking that, because I think a lot of my opponents think like that. You know, if you watch footage of me fighting or anything, I'll be the first one to say it doesn't look like anything special. It's not technical looking or anything like that. But there's a reason I, you know, more times than not, a lot more times than not, come out victorious than anyone who's been in that cage with me. You know, they'll be the first ones to tell you that they weren't ready for that intensity and ferociousness that I bring. And you can't teach that, can't train that. So, good luck.
Well, let's hear it for our 2 fighters for the main event of the night.
All right.
Okay, next up on the scorecard, what we have Blair, and we have Alexander Olave. It's kind of suave, Olave. So we're going to start with Mr. Suave himself. Hey, if you can, tell us, fighting Thomas Blair, how do you feel about fighting Thomas Blair? And kind of give us in a short version.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Thomas Blair, he fought my teammate Joey Marino back when he made his pro debut. I was there in Joey Marino's corner, and I saw this guy. I said, this was a perfect fight for me. This is a guy who's 3-0. He's an up-and-coming 145er, and that's who I want. I only want to fight the best. I call him out as no disrespect. This kid's talented, and I'm coming. I'm coming.
And Blair, as we come over there, you're a calm, you know, professional guy. Kind of tell us your thoughts on when you did meet him or did hear him call you out. What makes this fight more, you know, that much more special to you here?
Pretty much just that, because like you said, nobody's ever called me out. Nobody's I am a pretty low-key guy. I'm a respectful guy. I think for the most part, everybody pretty much respects me. So when he did call me out, it was a little surprising. I will say it was a little irritating at first, and but he was pretty persistent. So I figured I'd go ahead and give him what he wanted.
So, Mr. Olave, you know, here's the biggest thing. What we have here for you is, what is the game plan?
There is no game plan, to be honest. It's go out there, flow, be like water. Bruce Lee says it. You hear it. It's a famous quote. Be like water. There's so many things that can happen in a fight. Anything can happen. I can hit him. He can stumble. He can me. I can stumble. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about maintaining that integrity. It's all about fight IQ, maintaining that integrity. Because we're all tough. At this level, we're all tough. No mistaking it, ladies and gentlemen. It's about fight IQ. Because we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be scrapping. We wouldn't be risking our bodies for this if we weren't tough. So it's about fight IQ. It's about adjustments. It's about intelligence. And that's the game plan, intelligence.
And you, Blair, fighting at this weight, getting ready for this fight. Do you plan to stay at this fight after this fight, or are you looking to move up or go down?
I'll probably stay at this weight for probably the remainder of the year. I started out at 145 as an amateur, undersized 145 at that. My teammates at the time were kind of, pestering me about going to 135. Eventually I did that and I went on the tear, and I was supposed to go make my debut at 135 actually, and things weren't panning out, so I contacted Jimmy. I told him to give me the best fight, the biggest fight that he possibly could at 145, and he offered me a title fight, and I won that. I continued to fight at that weight class. I continued to stay at 145 as a professional, just because it's convenient. I don't really have to cut much weight, if any, to make 145, and we'll see. I'll probably eventually go back to 135 sometime towards the end of the year, if not next year.
Okay, so if you guys can share, how can people follow you on social media if they wanted to follow you?
I'm at it's Thomas Blair, Facebook or Instagram. Shy Cordier on Instagram.
You can find me on Instagram, Olave MMA. Find me on YouTube, look at my highlights. I've fought around the world, Thailand, Malaysia, London, knocked out a lot of people in professional Muay Thai. Look me up, Alexander Olave, Olave MMA.
Okay. You look me up on Facebook. I got my athlete's profile, Brandon the Janitor Pennington. I got my regular profile, Brandon Pennington, and then I have Instagram, Janitor MMA 757. Look me up, follow me anytime.
You can find my Instagram. It's Mitch_Aguiar, Aguiar. There's no L. Smash and Frog.
And due to time, we have time for one more fighter, which is the oldest but strongest, as he say, fighter that's on the card most season. He's a Sergeant Major. Let's hear it for him.
Like it's oldest, fattest MMA fighter.
The oldest and fattest, there it is.
Keep narrowing categories, pretty soon you're the champion.
So if you can, Sergeant Major, if you can just start out with just tell us what makes you get up and want to keep fighting. Could you share that with some of the younger fighters here that are hungry, that are looking to do this? What makes you get up and continuously do this?
His wife.
My wife hates it, actually. Well, I like to challenge myself. I retired from I started out as an airborne ranger, as a Green Beret. Retired. I always did jiu-jitsu. I started out kickboxing, actually. I was in North Carolina kickboxing champion. So it's an obscure organization, but still. Special Operations had a policy against MMA. So, I always wanted to do it. When I came back from Afghanistan as a contractor, I decided I'm moving to Colorado and I'm snow skiing and fighting. So I drove my wife out there and I'm snow skiing and fighting. Mainly challenge myself, calmness under pressure. It's not easy. Anybody who steps in there, it's not easy to keep calm and do your very best when everything's going on.
So, lastly, due to time, if you can say, what has been your biggest inspiration? Who's been your biggest inspiration throughout your military career and to this point of day today?
Biggest inspiration. I didn't write that question down. I guess, my biggest thing would be, I quit drinking and doing drugs in 1985. Woo! My life was a shambles. Well, I guess my biggest inspiration is the spiritual power that I've tapped into. And I think that's one of the reasons I do it too. Life is about spiritual and character growth. So win or lose, I'm a better man for it.
Yeah. Let's give it up for Sergeant Major. All right, so that wraps it up for the press conference today due to time. But I just want to make an announcement to you again. SFL32 tomorrow night, Saturday, January 27th at the Ted Constant Center. Doors open at 5:30 to 6 for the Fan Expo. Prelims start at 6 p.m. Opening ceremony starts at 7. Get your tickets at whynottix.com or the Ted Constant's box office or tonight at the gala. If you want to stream live, stream at Fight TV at fite.tv. All right, let's get ready to square up for pictures and begin the night.
I don't know what to do. What I do? Not really just square off uniform. I might grab my finger on with that.